don't think of and can't think of any situation where organizations wouldn't want to be or need to be analytics first organizations, because to my mind, it's just the advantage, the 10x multiplier that it really gives to any organization.
Thank you. So, we've heard about, again, we heard some themes in terms of, I heard the word journey, I heard the word different stages of maturity. Smaller organizations may not, have the tools and means and so on. Moving to, the sort of backgrounds you guys have, just very quickly, 2 critical success factors to moving in the direction of analytics first. I think we agree it's important. I think we agree that it's a moving target. And it depends on where you are, and it depends on, what the market imperative and the consumer imperative is. So just quickly, 2 critical success factors or, 2 challenges that you think can really, make the difference between moving faster or slower towards this analytics first paradigm.
So let me go first and then I can pass over the mic.
Soumen, would you like to go first?
Sorry, or Soumen.
Again, like I represent auto industry, big industry, we can always call it, business as usual. But I think this whole data, this whole analytics is really disrupting us. So to take Shefali's point, what are the key success factors, what is that we need to do? We need to acknowledge some realities, the reality that is impinging us. What is that reality? Reality is, it is half the cost, 1/4 the cost to retain an existing customer to get a new one. If I have a customer who is buying a company's car, General Motors car, I want that customer to come back again after 6 years and buy the car again. So better do whatever it takes to engage that customer, because I have to spend less, 1/4 of the cost, than to get a new customer. Reality number 1. What is reality number 2? A happy customer may at least tell his wife or friend, but an unhappy customer will go to the Facebook, Team BHP, and throw jargons and throw swear words like anything. So that is a reality, and that is going to be a ripple effect. So we need to address that. And that was not happening 2 years before, or maybe 5 years before. So that is reality number 2. And this whole data is a new coin for us. As he was mentioning, it is a new currency. Better start doing that. So I think we have to acknowledge that. The leadership has to do that. In fact, General Motors has done that. We have created a separate function. That function is called the customer experience function. Alyssa Boller-Davis, Google it out. She is leading that function. We have made sure that we use the power of analytics to get hold of those customers and make sure, using strategic words, we call customers should be never surprised and never stranded when they are using General Motors car. Think of the customer who feels that somebody is standing behind me and supporting me all the time. That customer is going to be very sticky with us. That customer is going to be very loyal with us. So I would say the top management commitment to this whole reality, and once the commitment comes, the cross-functional silos are removed, the investment happens, and the right atmosphere sets in.
You'd like to add to that, Manit?
For me, I feel the biggest success has been the top management who actually believes that, who believes in their own gut, and also intelligent insights around them to make decision. I think for them to adopt and start believing that analytics is something that can take them the next level, I think for me that is the biggest success factor in at least Indian industry today, that people are acknowledging the fact that analytics is the next stage of getting, of retaining customers, giving better customer service, saving money, increasing bottom lines, coming up with better solutions. So I think that is where I see success factors as.
Anshuman, do you, they both spoke about leadership and top-down. Do you feel a critical success factor is actually lying somewhere in the middle or the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly, I think if we trace back, right, so leadership buy-in or analytics ROI, I mean, we don't see that because a lot of the things don't really get implemented, right? I mean, a lot of the analytics output, I mean, a majority of it, right? Not all of it, but majority of it is left as, PowerPoint decks that are used, largely for storytelling, but not really for actually, embedded into the organization, right? Driving real business decisions, so that then you can talk about, ROI and, what you spent and what I'm getting back for what I spent. So I think, having that, automation mindset, that implementation mindset, embedding, the work that you have done into, real business decisions and, watching them evolve over time, I think is the important part, right? I mean, I think a lot of the times, again, we leave it at storytelling and ROI, but we don't take that next step of, how will we get to that ROI, right? I mean, it's not going to be, again, a PPT presentation, but it actually needs to be embedded in there, and that's how Google, Google gets its ROI, right? I mean, even though per click might be, 1 cent or 2 cent, but they don't spend so much, time and energy, I think thinking or debating or sort of conceptualizing, I think about ROI. So I think that implementation mindset, that embedding, and then letting the system sort of evolve for some time, so that you can then compare, before versus after. And then, move on to other and more things, right? And I think having that, longevity or that drive to making this, all pervasive, right? Not only on the customer side, but we should be doing it for HR, we should be doing it for the finance function, we should be doing it for the recruiting function.
Absolutely.
Right? So how do you, once you see that ROI, how are you able to quickly sort of expand the scope of these kinds of things, I think is critical, and that's what will eventually take any organization to that next level.
So Nitin, anything you'd like to add? We had some themes around sort of ROI and
Yes.
embedding analytics, the leadership commitment from a strategy perspective, the coupling with technology. Anything else that you think sort of?
Yeah, and I'm glad I didn't speak first because I would have had to say all these things before coming to the point that I wanted to make. So thank you, Soumen. Absolutely, agreement and a buy-in from the top is super important. Absolutely the right first thing. But of course, to have that match that vision, what really the senior management of the top vision really wants to execute on, you have to have the right kind of talent to support that and to execute that. So that is, to my mind, when we are really talking about building an organization, and I'm trying to bring it closer to my own experience of what we have in terms of the group here within my organizational setup. You have to have the right talent. You have to give them the freedom and the tools to experiment. It's not just that there is one person who knows it all and is driving certain things. We have to give a very wide and open playing field for people to experiment, have the openness to experiment with new techniques, technology and tools, a combination of these. And then in setups like these, have the right way of channelizing that and taking to the execution, because the other big fallacy of the whole thing is we can think about and have this all crazy ideas, hackathons and whatnot to really come up with a lot of different ideas, but then if we don't take any of them and convert them into anything which is delivering that business value and benefit, the next time around it's not going to come through. So that also, to my mind, are important factors in really making the organizations really take this journey quicker, faster, and then to the next level.
So in terms of, this whole sort of analytics, a roadmap or a journey from where you are to where you want to be, which is closer to an analytics first organization. Do you feel it's just analytics that plays a role? We talked about, sort of leadership buy-in and so on. Or do you think that this is a combination of analytics and some amount of consulting that really organizations need? Anshuman, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, I think both, right? I mean, I think again, consulting, analytics, implementation, right? All of that, right? Once you take a very, that it needs to be real and impact, real business operations, then at least in my mind, some of those distinctions, blur or don't really exist, right? You just need to understand the problem, right? Model it, implement it, get your, right ROC curve and right confusion matrix and whatnot. And then, implement it and then, run and monitor it and improve it. So I think maybe in some ways, these distinctions of, silos, be it within organizations or within, industries, is what holding us back, right? I mean, the consulting team is different than the analytics team, which is different than the IT implementation team, right? So I think, yeah, maybe that is what is one of the key reasons that we are being held back from being, true analytics-first organizations.
So thank you. I'd like to sort of open it up at this point for questions in the audience. Sure. You can ask either an individual panelist, or you can, sort of ask the panel in general.
Hi. So my question is that it's comparatively easy for tech companies to become analytics first. But what about traditional companies? Because what I have seen, the stumbling block to start this is that enough data points are not available. And to start collecting those data points, is itself a Herculean task. So it becomes an inhibitor to do that. So what are your suggestions that a traditional company, how can they start by accumulating those critical data points?
Someone specific you're asking?
I think I heard examples of DTDC and General Motors, so they, I think, would be able to answer much better.
I think we cannot be more traditional, 105 years old company. I would actually partially agree that data is not available. Data was always available. We were not acknowledging the fact that data is available and we need to make best use of this. Think of the various data. Yeah, you want to have a point, or? So, what is the data? Data that helps me to understand my customer product. Plant data. When I'm having the car going through the assembly line, each station I'm collecting machine data. Then the car goes out. Then I start collecting the warranty data. Then when the product is being driven, the customer calls the call center. I have a call center data. Then I do surveys, customer satisfaction. I have the survey data. Then the customer goes and social media, Facebook and all the forums, I have social media data. So, and we do our internal surveys. So data was always there. We did not know that this data has to be used now to move the competitor. Because your competitor or your customer is 2 clicks away from switching over. So if you do not satisfy that person, him or her, he will just take 2 attempts and switch over. So now it has become all the more pertinent to use the data in whatever form, analytics, investment, whatever you like to call it, to retain that customer, to make your product the best in the class. So partially agree, data was already there. We are now acknowledging that better collect the data, put them in data warehouse, data mart, data cubes, whatever you call it, put the analytics on the top of that and start deriving your product improvement ideas and the customer satisfaction ideas. I can talk detail at the offline, but it was already there.
Thank you for the insight.
So just to add to his point.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Thanks for the insightful and engaging session. My question is, while choosing the solution which needs to be implemented, how are the problems chosen? Say top 3 problems, those which increase the revenue, those which reduce the cost, or those which are just get associated with the fancy and buzzwords because competition is catching up? And or do we check the current and future capabilities, like, okay, can we embrace them or not? I believe definitely there will be different priorities for different industries, automobile, logistics or retail. So in that area, has it happened like you have to choose one solution and let go the other for prioritizing?
Anand, do you want to take that?
Yeah, it happens all the time, as Anshuman said, right? Or even Nitin said. The thing is, ultimately, what looks good on your P&L, right, is the bottom line. Right? So for me, I'm a bottom line guy. Top line, I love top line. But to achieve top line, you got to pump in more money, right? So optimize cost, get a better bottom line, get better numbers, my shareholders are happy, everyone's happy at the end of the day. So I think it really depends on what the agenda at that point with the management and the shareholder is. Is it to increase top line or is it to work on the bottom line? So I think based on that, you take a call on what needs to be done.
We should, but sometimes what happens is that also becomes a little myopic, because what's the biggest problem right now? And if I just keep on trying to put all my energies behind that, you're actually solving a problem of the past. And that's really where if you can be a little bit more future looking and understand if you were to invest the time and money right now so that you can solve for something which is going to accrue benefits in future and have like obviously an NPV calculation, that would be the right problem to focus on because you have one more control and you have more impact coming out of that.
So I have a question.
I think are we out of time? Do we have time? Okay,
My
one
question
last
is,
question and then we can take questions outside.
my question is, what comes first, analytics or strategy? Is it analytics that leads to development of strategy, or do you think it's the other way where you define strategy which leads to analytics being conducted?
Very good. Does anyone want to take that?
I think it's strategy first, because it's my belief that till you don't identify okay, so let's put it this way. You are investing in analytics, but analytics is getting done for a specific reason. So till you don't identify what that business issue or the problem is, how will you ever decide whether analytics is the solution or capabilities or systems or something else is the problem? So I feel strategy comes first, analytics follows. That is my take on it.
So,
My take is, until now, very short answer, until now, strategy drove analytics, but what I see is, where I see it's going is, analytics is going to drive strategy.
Yeah, and I think to get to your strategy, you've probably already done some analytics. You're probably just not aware of it.
Thank you so much. I think that was a great, discussion. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, Shefali, for chairing that for us.
thank you.
So with that, it's time for a quick coffee break for about 10 minutes. It's 11:30. We'll see you back at 11:40 sharp as we continue with our next session. Once again, reminding you to please keep your batches very safe until the end of the conference. Please carry it wherever you're heading to. We'll see you back in 10 minutes. Please help us stick to time. Thank you so much. So welcome back after the break. We gave you a little longer break so you could get more time to interact with each other. So moving on to our next session, it's analytics at healthcare. We have with us Subbu, who is the Director, Enterprise Initiatives at Optum Global Solutions, a senior leader with successful management expertise with the healthcare, insurance, and retail industry. He has over 16 years of experience in managing software deployment projects, directing IT and operational risk management, implementing business solutions, and designing and deploying technology strategies and initiatives. In his current role as a leader for strategic initiatives, he is responsible for the strategic vision, leadership, and management of solutions to the healthcare industry. Please join us. Welcome Subbu this morning.